for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins. Make sure you guys go check out my sponsor, Easy Mutt. Use code VENM at checkout for 5% off. Yo, what's good guys, Ben on Fire here back with a video, and today I'm bringing you guys another run defense video. It's also good against the pass. It's going to be a same setup for stretch, dive, and I'm also going to show you how you can play it against the pass. Starting out, we're going to be in the nickel 3-3-5 wide formation. I was actually thinking about making a full ebook on the 4-6 defensive playbook. If you want me to do that, let me know down below in the comment section. But yeah, we're going to be in the 4-6 defensive playbook. Best defense in the game, in my opinion. Now, as far as your zone drops go, I'm going to set my curl flats just to 20. You don't really have to do anything else other than that. You can leave auto flip on, all that jazz. And yeah, so we're going to be doing the audible down defense. So we're going to set our safeties here at linebacker out of the nickel 3-3-5 formation, and then obviously audible down. Now the actual play we're going to run is going to be cover one contain. You see there at the bottom. We're going to go over that. I really do like that as a stock run defense, and we're going to show some of those adjustments again. It's just easier to adjust out of if that makes any sense at all. But also, before we get into the video, make sure you guys do go ahead and hit that subscribe button. About 75% of my viewers are not subscribed, so if that's you, you're watching, you enjoying the content, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, stay a while, and drop a like if you enjoyed the video. Also, thank you guys for 15,000 subscribers. We're now on the road to 20K subs, so go ahead, hit that sub button like I said. But yeah, cover one contain. So when you're audibling down, I like to come out in this cover two man, and then obviously audible. Make sure that cover one contain is in your audibles, usually at X, so it's easier to audible with. As far as the play you're going to run, I'm going to run this strong slot. So it's going to be similar to the I-form slot. That's actually one of the most popular run formations right now, just this little dive to stretch RPO type thing. We're going to start with the dive. Later in the video, we'll head into that stretch. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So taking a look at what we have. Again, you're just going to simply audible by pressing X or square, pushing that D-pad to the left once, and then pressing X or square again, or wherever you have it in your audibles. I like X for my man coverage, just because in every other formation, usually cover two man is going to be at that X slot, and you actually will be replacing cover two man with this cover one contain. So just press that, and then you can complete your audible. Now, as far as who you're going to use in today's run defense video, you're actually going to be using the strong safety. Now, he is manned up on a player, so we're going to have to do some switching, some flipping around with our player, but that's not too much of a hassle for us. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and press right off the bat. That's Y or triangle down on that left stick. Then you're going to go ahead and shift to the strong side. So D-pad to the left, push that left stick to the right, and then you're going to go ahead and slant your D-line to that left side. So you're going to slant it to the opposite side that you shifted on, or the wide side of the field. And then you're going to go ahead and pinch your linebackers by pressing D-pad to the right and that left stick down. So just to review what we've done, we've gone ahead, we've audibled, then we've pressed, we've shifted to the right, and we slanted or crashed our defensive line to the left. So 3 adjustments. Now comes a little bit of the tricky part on what you're going to do. The first thing you're going to do is kind of flip around who we have manned up on who. Now, we only really have to do one. Now, since we're using John Johnson, obviously we can't really do much with that on the running back. So we're actually going to man up that weak side linebacker, that left outside linebacker on the running back. So that's going to be D-pad to the right twice, press that X or square button again, and then go ahead and push that right stick up and press Y or triangle to man up on the running back. Now, the reason I'm manning that guy up is because if anyone were to hot route the running back on a route, like a wheel route, he would be going to the left side or the wide side. That's how the running back's routes are ran. But yeah, that's going to be it. Now, we got one last adjustment that we're going to do, and it's going to be to put A on a curl flat. Again, we adjust our curl flats. This will help in the pass defense game. And then again, if they were to pass the ball, your responsibility would probably be any routes from right to left, although out of like an I-form slot, that's not too big of a worry. It would maybe be like a drag route, maybe a zig route, something simple. But yeah, that's pretty much going to do it. Now, as far as where you're going to use her from, I like to use her kind of right about here, and you're going to kind of shoot the halfback dive. Now, one thing we also have to do is just kind of move Taylor Rapp over. So you're going to move him over just like a step to that left side. That's going to kind of distract the fullback. You guys will see in a little bit. Now, this doesn't necessarily work every single time, but that's what it should look like when it's ran perfectly. You should be able to just shoot through that gap very simply. Now I'm going to set it up again, going through slower. Once I go over the adjustments a couple of times, I'll show you how quick I can set it up. But again, this is going to take practice. It's a lot of adjustments, but in order to play really superb run defense in this game, you're you're going to have to learn how to do all these adjustments quickly. And again, the more adjustments you do, the more likely you are to be able to stop the run. So again, you're just going to audible press, shift to the right, slant to the left, pinch your linebackers, and then you're going to go ahead, man up this X linebacker on Y and put A in a curl flat. Simply shift over Taylor Rapp and put your user on a spy. Now you could put him on a blitz. In the halfback dive case, it doesn't matter that he's on the blitz, but against stretch, you see how his angle is going kind of to that left side. And obviously if they run stretch to the right, you don't want the ball to be snapped and then to kind of run over to the left, and then you have to go back to the right. So that's the reason that I just prefer the spy. Again, the cuts are going to be pretty much the exact same, so it's not really an issue at all. But yeah, so again, you're just going to kind of stand here, and you see the fullback. He almost looks like he's going to block you, but then at the last second, he's going to cut back inside. That's exactly what you want to happen. Now, I'm not sure if that's necessarily caused by Taylor Rapp shifting over to the left, but I'm pretty sure it has something to do with that. I did lab this a lot before hopping in the video for about an hour, but you see, just taking a look at what we have, even though we don't land the hit stick, obviously I do recommend getting some high hit power. If you can't, that's okay, but you see, it can be a little bit tricky just because he's obviously in a strong formation, so he's starting out on the right side. Looks like he's going to block you for a split second and then goes ahead and cuts back. I do believe that that's caused by Taylor Rapp starting on the left, and then even though he's not on a blitz or anything, he's just going to kind of shift over, and he will end up filling that gap. Boom, it gives you enough time to just shoot that in the backfield, and you see if you were to bounce it back to the right side, Jalen Ramsey's going to come off that edge untouched. So some help. Aaron Donald there does have inside stuff. That's the reason that he's going to be getting those quick block shits. But yeah, I'll show it quickly here again, and then we'll show the adjustments one more time. Now again, the adjustments are the exact same for the stretch and dive, so I'll continue to talk about them even if we audible plays. But yeah, I'll just kind of go through as quickly as I can here. We're going to audible, shift, press, pinch, man up X, or I can't really talk while doing this quickly, but you're going to man up X on Y, and then you're going to put A in that curl flat, again, just by your user. So I could set it up in about 2 to 3 seconds. Should be before your opponent is even able to get to the line and snap it. Even if they were to just completely quick snap, it's not an issue. And again, it's not too big of an issue whether they pass the ball or run the ball, because we have the same defense set up. Now, an extra adjustment you could do is to just shade over the top. I don't believe that it will affect your run defense, but that's just going to prevent you from getting completely burned over the top. We do have an inside third, but maybe if Justin Jefferson were to get a good release there, it would make a difference. Now, at that time, again, I mentioned that sometimes the gap shoot doesn't work. Different things can cause different, circumstances to happen. That was a little bit unfortunate. I'll set it up again relatively quickly here, just to show you guys it working. Again, I think that didn't happen was because I forgot to shift Taylor Rapp over. So you see even a small error, like forgetting to just move this guy over by a couple of yards, actually can cause the run defense not to work. So it's a pretty particular thing. And it actually is pretty crazy how you have to have the exact correct adjustments in order to get something like this working. That time it didn't work as well. Kind of confused on why that's happening, so I'll set it up again briefly. You did see it work like the first 3 times we did it, so I'm not sure why it's giving me problems now, but again, I'll just shift him over, simply put A on a curl flat, X on Y, and then we're just gonna put our user on a little QB spy here, wait for the ball to be snapped, and then boom, we're able to shoot that gap. So again, it does work majority of the time. I would probably say around 80% if I had to give odds, but that's pretty good. And again, even sometimes if you aren't able to shoot that gap, you're going to occupy an offensive lineman, you're going to allow someone to get open. If the fullback actually blocks you, Taylor Rapp's going to shoot that middle gap, so he won't necessarily have anything open. But let's quickly audible. We're already at a pretty long point in the video, so I'm going to go through pretty quickly here in switching our play and just kind of showing the stretch. Now, the stretch is a little bit different. You're not necessarily going to have as clear of a gap shoot. But as long as you have the basics of run defense, you should be able to stop the stretch relatively the same. And again, I mentioned that the run defensive setup is the exact same, so we're going to run it basically the exact same way. Now, you won't know if your opponent's running dive or stretch, so you kind of got to stand in the same spot, but that's kind of how you do it. Now, again, when that ball is snapped, you got to be ready. I wasn't even super ready there, but you got to be ready to run to the right side or run up the middle. So you do have to kind of pay attention pretty quickly to what your opponent's doing, because even a second of misunderstanding or not recognizing if it's a stretch or a dive could come back to hurt you. So again, kind of be careful in that aspect. But here's a look at our run defense again. I'm going to stand right about here, which is the same spot, and stretch, and I can just shoot through that gap right there. So you see Jalen Ramsey's going to do a good job of sealing off the edge there. Everyone else usually fills in line relatively well. But you see how usually it's going to come down to my user. A preferred stretch defense would be something like this, where I would actually be able to user Taylor wrap here. But again, that doesn't work for the dive. So if you user him, you're going to get halfback dived to oblivion right here. But yeah, I'll just show what it would look like if you were able to use Taylor wrap, and the run defense would be a whole lot better. So we'll wait for them to snap it, and you see you can just shoot the gap. It just gives you an extra guy, although the run result was a little bit worse. More times than not, 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10, it's going to be a little bit better. So I'll just show it a couple more times here. Again, you got to set it up the same way. You're not going to know if your opponent's running stretch or dive. And then again, you just obviously hope that you're guessing right. Sometimes you can tell short yard situation, more times than not, it's going to be a dive. Maybe longer situations, you're expecting stretch, but also if it happens to be a pass, you're usually covered in a pretty good way. So really good. Usually when you're running these types of run defenses, you kind of have to have the setups be the exact same for a dive and a stretch, because if they're a little bit different, you're never going to know, and that's how people just get gashed for touchdowns in the run game this year, is if you have like 2 different run defense setups. So again, you want to be consistent. I do think this defense is really, really good, kind of in both worlds, both against the run and the pass. But yeah, here's a look at it one more time. Again, shade over the top if you're afraid of getting burnt. You could get some man coverage abilities as well, but there you see, that's the one kind of problem that I've ever had with this defense against stretch, and it's a pretty particular one. Now, I didn't take a good angle with my user here, you'll see that in the replay, but the one problem is getting blocked by the fullback. You want to make it your mission to not get blocked by this guy. You see how he's already going to start kind of running out to the right, and I maybe even have to cut this down right about here, because you see how I just get blocked, and that's going to cause a big problem for us. So that's the one guy that I would try and stay away from. With that being said, I'll just show it a couple more times before I go ahead and end the video here. And again, just make sure to try and stay away from that fullback at all costs. You can even take it a little bit slower. So just take it slower, and then you cut him up. Now, we just got juked to death by Dalvin Cook there, but even if you go slow, don't necessarily just be holding sprint, running directly to the fullback or the running back, because that's how you get blocked by the fullback. And again, he's the one problem that we have, and he's the one guy that you do have to stay away from in this particular run. I-form slot, I think, is a little bit different, but this defense should still work for that. Again, if you find yourself running into him a lot, just take it slow. Just kind of strafe up here, boom, cut through, and even then we did get blocked. So I could even take it a little bit slower, or I could take a wider angle. I'll just show it a couple more times. Now, this wasn't happening as much earlier. Of course, it's going to happen now that I'm recording. That's just how these types of things go. But yeah, let's try and actually get a really good shoot here. I'm just going to try and sprint and get a really good just gap shoot here. And there we go. So that time we were able to get some help. The fullback ends up picking up our user, and then Brockers ends up making the play. So usually I'll have extra guys. You can practice this. It's not easy to do, because for whatever reason, when your user's on a spy, he just gets glitched in this particular practice mode, because the computer snaps the ball. You can't really time anything, and your users always has to be frozen for the CPU to snap the ball for whatever reason. In online play, you can kind of you're allowed to move him around while your opponent's snapping the ball, so that's not really an issue at all. Whereas in practice mode, I have to be standing still, which is going to give me a lot of problems in timing the gap shoot, things of that nature. But yeah, so you'll see right when the ball is snapped, I'm frozen, I'm stuck to the left. But that's really what causes me not to be able to shoot that gap. In online mode, that's not really an issue at all. Just make sure to pay attention, obviously, just kind of keep your guy moving. But again, you can still just run right off the spot where I have a quarter second, half second delay to where I can't shoot the gap. That's what's causing me not to necessarily get through there. But yeah, it's gonna do for the video. If you guys enjoyed, want more like this, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter. Link will be down below in the description, and peace. I'm out of here.